Shalom and welcome. My name is Rabbi Yitzchak Shapira, and I'm the founding rabbi of Ahavat Amim Ministries, a Jewish organization that deals with the reconciliation of the Jewish people back to the Jewish Messiah. His name was and still is today is Yeshua, that means the Lord saves. On August 1st, I released a book by the title The Return of the Kosher Pig that deals with the exact same issue, the identity of the Jewish Messiah and the reconciliation back to our people, the Jewish people. On August 20th, I had a great privilege of being a host in the Line of Fire, a radio program, a radio show with Dr. Michael Brown, where we had a chance to discuss some of the objection to Yeshua and some of the context of my book, among some passages. And in the discussion, we brought up an interesting topic that has to deal with the identity of the Mashiach and his relationship to Mount Sinai. Rabbi Israel Blumenthal declaring contra Brown in his paper the following. He says that if the Mashiach was not there, if Yeshua was not there on Mount Sinai, then he does not deserve our attention or devotion. I agree with him 100%. In the earlier episodes, we look specifically at the objection of Rabbi Israel Blumenthal to my work, The Return of the Kosher Pig. What have we learned so far about this amazing incident on Mount Sinai from Exodus chapter 19, verse 16? Number one, so far we have learned that I have not pushed the Trinity. That is not the point of the chapter or the discussion of Exodus 19:16, as Rabbi Blumenthal falsely accused me of. The point of this discussion have to deal with the compound unity of God. As a matter of fact, God is called Echad in the text, which means compound. It's compound. Echad does not have to mean Yachid, which is a singular unity. For instance, on Isaac, it says, in the binding, it says, Kach et bincha yechidcha, take your only son. There is a Hebrew word to describe a singular unity, but the word that describes God specifically is echad, which literally means a compound unity. But the point of that I want to make sure that everybody hear loud and clear is the fact that I have not pushed the Trinity. That is not the point or the purpose of the book. Number two, more seriously, Rabbi Israel Blumenthal accused me of mistranslating the word of the Zohar on Exodus 19:16 and changing the word water to the word Messiah and providing no evidence of that. As we learned in the previous episodes, not only that I did not do it, I translated it correctly to say water, but I would provide plenty of evidence that support the idea that water and Messiah are connected to one another. Thirdly, Rabbi Israel Blumenthal tried to challenge the fact that I stated that the word ruach can be translated as spirit, while in reality he suggests that this must mean wind. Well, it actually can mean both. The word ruach in Hebrew can mean wind or can mean spirit, and they have no relevance, as we learn, to the truth behind this passage, this majestic passage that says that the children of Israel have heard voices. Beloved, let's get back to the Hebrew Bible, to the Tanakh, and ask the question, why the children of Israel heard voices? They have heard voices because one of the voices, as we learned in the previous lesson, is the voice of the Messiah himself. Rabbi Blumenthal brings his very last objection that he called an incredible error. So let us look at this incredible error. And he says the following. Shapira translates, let us look together at this. Shapira translates the word gvanim, which means colors and voices. There is no philological basis for this translation. As a matter of fact, I could have easily translated this as such. As you notice it above, I said there is a clue of the voice that sounds as one voice that is made up of three voices, fire, wind, and water, and they are one. Israel Blumenthal suggests that I should have translated it as the following. There is a clue of the color that appears as one color, but is made up of three colors, fire, wind, and water. They all are one. First of all, Let's even take for assumption that Rabbi Israel Blumenthal is right, and I translated the word incorrectly, which is not the case, as I'm about to show you. Does that make a difference from the context of the discussion in page 64 in the Return of the Kosher Pig? The answer is absolutely not. They still have heard voices. One of the voices was the voice of the Messiah, who is joined himself to the voice, to join himself to another voice, joined himself ultimately to the voice of the mighty one of Israel, the eternal one. The word there in Hebrew, by the way, let us go back to this. The word there, voice or color, is the Hebrew word gavan, or in plural, it's the word gvanim. The word gvanim usually relates to colors, but it doesn't have to be related to color. You can have different gvanim of voices. You can have different gvanim of colors. You can have different gvanim of different things. Even if we take Rabbi Blumenthal interpretation in face value, how can the nature resemble? Because let's look at the words there again. How can nature itself resemble itself to three voices, to three colors? Fire, wind, and water will appear as colors. Those do not represent colors. The point of the matter, beloved, that this is really not important to the discussion. Whether or not gavan mean voice or color is irrelevant for the passage that we have seen. And let me remind you again what the sages have tell us. Let's look together again. They says clearly that there were thunders and lightning. Rabbi Abba says that kolot is spelled without the two vavs, the indication of a plural form. I'm asking the question with you today. If God is one, and as Rabbi Blumenthal suggests, He is an absolute unity, how can His voice heard in a plural voice? The answer is clear. God is one, but He is compound in His manifestation, in His compound is His nature. The two vowels joined Himself to the third voice because Hashem, He is an infinite God. Rabbi Blumenthal, in his desperate attempt, tried to suggest things that to distract us from the real meaning of the text. The real meaning of the text clearly said, beloved, that the voice of Mashiach, the voice of the Mashiach, was one of the voices that the Jewish people have heard. This is clear as daylight. Any other interpretation aside from that is twisting and manipulating the Hebrew textual meaning. If it would have read that there was one voice, kol, I would say, okay, you are right. But the Hebrew text clearly says that the Jewish people heard kolot. And the word maim, as we learned, is related to this idea that the Mashiach will be poured out as water. Rabbi Barami made a connection to the verse in Isaiah 55, talking about us coming to the Mashiach. The same verse that Yeshua of Nazareth quoted himself. Ask yourself the question, was the Messiah there before time? As we read in Psalm 72, was the Messiah there during the giving of the Torah? And was the Messiah's spirit there during Numbers 21, during the appearance of the serpent, the bronze serpent, who the Jewish people looked upon? The word nachash in Hebrew equals Mashiach, and it is clear, according to our sages, that the Jewish people have looked also upon the spirit of the Mashiach. I hope that this lesson helped you and to see that there is really no merit to any of this objection by Rabbi Israel Blumenthal. Those four incredible errors that were brought by him are really lead down to four manipulations that were brought to try to deviate from the literal meaning of the text. There were voices, and the children of Israel heard the voices, including the voice of Mashiach. I wish you blessings, all good things from above. May Hashem give you much, much success, and may the God of Israel reveal Himself to each one of you who watch this program. Shalom v'kol tuv. Litraot.